Today, we got a Jag in the shop. So what we have here today is a 1970 Jaguar E-Type Series 2 4.2 liter. Now, the main reason to come in is the slave cylinder is leaking, which is why I've got it jacked up in the front end here. These things can be a bit difficult to properly jack up, and I'm not ready to put it onto the lift just yet. So what I did was got it up on two jack stands here just to be able to get my head under there to double check, make sure I'm ordering the correct slave cylinder for it, and to be able to test the horns, because he said the horns were only working when the headlights were on. So I wanted to be able to get in there and work on it easier than trying to get through here. Now, a lot of people might think with the bonnet tilting up like that makes it nice and easy to work on. Well, let's see you get your head down in there and work on those horns from this side. Way easier to do from underneath. So it has a couple other small little things we're going to be doing to it too. He said heater controls aren't working quite the way they should, which I've already figured out at least part of the problem there. And then it doesn't idle right. When you turn the choke off, it barely wants to idle. Seems like it's running way too rich at idle. But then, like right now, with it being cool out, it's not accelerating very well either. So I'm going to take a quick look at the carbs, why it's in here as well, and do an oil change. So the fuse box on these things is behind this panel here, and it's not fun to get to. So technically it's actually two fuse boxes, one on this side and one on this side. So this panel folds down, and that's about as far down as it folds down, and you got to get your hand in there and work. And what I actually found out was wrong with the horns is this fuse here, which is the 50 amp fuse for the horns, was actually not sitting in its slot. Whoever put it in up there. It was actually bridging between the headlight fuse and the horn fuse. So it wasn't getting good contact, was only actually getting enough voltage through there while the headlights were on. So yeah. So one other little issue is the heater controls. The one here for the air, to change the air, will not move at all. And the one for the heat will pull out. It's a little stiff, and then it just flips right back in. It barely moves though. So we look at the heater control here, you can see that it flips in and then just flips right back out. So I got to take a look at that a little bit closer. But down here for the air, it's pretty easy to see why this one's not working. The casing of the cable is all the way against the flap or the control arm, and then it doesn't tighten down here, so it just whole thing just moves around. There has to be a space between this and the cable casing to have any chance of this moving, and then the cable casing has to stay put in here for it to actually work. So that's a pretty simple fix, at least in theory. But these cables are not the easiest to replace because it's not easy to get into that part of the dash up there. One other issue he was complaining about was there was a rattling sound underneath the car when you're driving. Well, I figured out what that was. This pipes here are not exactly tight. And then back underneath there, when the pipes come together, they're just rattling against each other because they're moving around. Now I just have to find out if this gasket is burnt out or not. I don't hear anything, so I think just tightening this one down might be enough for this one, but we'll find out. Now it appears this car has been restored sometime in the past, but the level of detail on it isn't a high level. It's not anywhere near Concours, but it's also a car that can represent pretty good value because it'll get you into an E-Type for a whole lot less than one that's all the details are right on. And you can, and if you're wanting to enjoy the car, hey, nothing wrong with that, right? But I think, you know, I don't think this stuff's supposed to be black on any year E-Type that I know of. But there's little things too, like this piece of hose here is in 2 pieces. Now I did actually find that hose there, I found a Ford hose you can buy at the local parts store that's almost a perfect match to that. It's just like an inch too long on some previous ones that I've worked on. And this hose here obviously is not correct. And the big problem with that hose being that way is the bottom of this thing has been rubbing. I don't know, it's not going to focus there very well, but the bottom of that's been rubbing on this rail and starting to wear through. So I'm going to replace that while we're in here. Another issue I found while we're in here is rack boots tore. Of course, they sell those each without the clamps. You know, it's Jag. Can't just sell a kit for a reasonable price.